What is going on, everyone? We are ready to come at you live, so keep it locked in. A lot of stuff to get into today.
But what you may not know is that Progressive helps employees support over 3,800 charitable organizations annually. We're committed to helping our employees, and our employees are committed to helping others. Anyway, we just wanted to share. We were a little too proud of it to keep it to ourselves. And if you already knew all of this about us, you've either heard this radio spot before or just randomly know a lot about Progressive. Find out more about how we're dedicated to our customers and communities at progressive.com.
So, hope everyone is doing well. Got to fix that backdrop. So, a lot of stuff. NFL draft. Hopefully, Johnny Mack at 4:20. Jovan Alford in the 5 o'clock hour. Dive into a little bit of what I talk about. Q's cuts. NBA playoffs. Obviously focuses on no Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers. We want to dive into that and some baseball as well. So a lot of stuff to get into. And I'll tell you, the other interesting thing, too, is when you go back and talk a little bit about the NFL draft, I really like what the Eagles did, and I really like what the New York Giants did. Now, obviously, the Eagles made the big splash because of the signing, or the trade, I should say, of Brown, and then giving them that monster contract. But the Giants addressed defensively. They addressed the offensive line, and it's something that I want to dive into a little bit today. So like I said, as always, tweet at us at RichQNQ, and you can chime in as well, 609-445-1490. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code FREE. AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio welcomes you to Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock, straight up a Tuesday edition of Back Your Play coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio studios. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. We'll take up to 6 o'clock, straight up 2 hours to play with on this 3rd of May, 2022. Don't forget the 609-445-1490. That'll get you involved in two-way sports talk. Bring something to the table. Get social with us at always at Rich Q on Q at 1490 Sports Bet. If you are checking out live on the YouTube channel as well, we appreciate that. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll read off some of the comments as well as we go along. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Really nice day out today down the shore. Hopefully you guys were out and about and you've enjoyed the nice weather and busy weekend, right? Baseball, we're starting to get in that full swing with baseball. We'll get into the Philadelphia Phillies. How about the Mets with the no-hit the other night? What was it? Combined 5 pitchers. So we'll dive into that. Yankees, as we mentioned, on a nice little bit of a tear in the AL East. And then, of course, the NHL playoffs begin. You got the Penguins and the Rangers tonight. So we'll see if my Rangers can make a deep run in that series and in the playoffs. Ultimately, we'll give you some lines in that. NFL draft has come and gone, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I really like what I saw from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I really loved what I saw from the New York Football Giants. I was very impressed. I mean, it's all about changing the culture, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And then you got the NBA playoffs. So where were we? End of the week. Last week, I told you it's kind of a referendum make or break series for the Sixers against Toronto. And we saw what happens, right? They blew him out of the building. Embiid with the cheap shot. Ultimately, he goes down with the injury, not available last night in a game in which Miami was laying 8. They easily covered against the Philadelphia 76ers in game 1 of their conference semis. You know, last night was a game, if you're a Sixers fan and you watched it, and you even thought early on, you know, the Sixers kind of hang in there early. We're only down 8, after one quarter, made that nice little run, and obviously go into the break up 151-50. But then the NBA, especially playoff time, is it not? It is ultimately all about adjustments. And we saw what happened last night. I mean, Miami kind of just showed you, and especially without having Embiid on the floor, because you really don't have that dominating presence. And you have to just call it the way you see it, right? DeAndre Jordan stinks. I mean, this guy's washed up. He's not going to give you anything. If you thought you were going to get something from him last night, in 17, 18, 19 plus minutes, he was minus 22 on the floor for 4 points. He's not going to give you anything. You need guys like Harden, Maxey, without Embiid, and Harris step up, and which Harris did. 27 last night. You didn't get a ton of production from the bench, but ultimately, the lineups, right? This is what we always talk about. It's the lineups that we see with the Philadelphia 76ers. They had no answer for Tyler Hero. We saw that last night. Adebayo finished with 24 and 12. You didn't have any answers from him. And when you're knocking down shot from beyond the arc and the perimeter defense isn't there, then Miami is going to make you pay. Now, granted, like I said, look, you're without Embiid last night, okay? You're without the perennial MVP, the perennial all-star. And he's not expected to play in game 2 either, which now all of a sudden you lose that game, you're down 0-2, and you got to say, all right, we got a puncher's chance. I mean, look, I didn't like the offensive sets last night. I didn't like the offensive game plan, especially coming out of these timeouts, setting up the offense. I did not like, in particular, the way the ball moved around the floor for the Philadelphia 76ers. And Miami just showed you we can be a little more physical. We can bang you a little bit. And that's kind of, that was kind of it, right? I mean, think about this. Miami led as many as 12 in the opening quarter. Then all of a sudden, boom, what happens? It's the NBA. You go on this run. This is what happens. Bang, bang, bang. 37-24. That was the biggest lead. 46-36 midway through the second. You got another bucket. And the rest of the half, the Philadelphia 76ers decided we're not going to get blown out. And that's where it was doable. It was reachable. And you got back in the game. And the fact that Miami shot, I believe it was 1 of 9 for the rest of the half, that allowed the Philadelphia 76ers kind of crawl back into this game. You close out the half with a 15-4 run. There you go. Harden's big shot with about 30 seconds to go in the first half got them to a 51-50 lead. Then, boom. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. Miami then all of a sudden starts off with a run, 13-3. And now, instead of being down 1, they're up double digits. And you kind of put a lot more pressure on the Philadelphia 76ers. They were not knocking down their shots when they were getting some open looks. You had some careless turnovers. And, Doc can sit there and say, well, I'm going to put this one on me. We've heard that a lot, right? We've heard that a lot with Doc Rivers. And I think what happens right now is if you know that you are not going to have Embiid, okay? I'm at the point where I can't expect any more from James Harden. I'm almost at my look. He's going to be the facilitator. He's the playmaker. He's not going to be that volume scorer that we've seen in years past. I don't know what more you would expect or want from James Harden. But look, if the Sixers turn around and they go with Jordan in the starting lineup and not Michael, DeAndre, not good. Not good. You want a little burst, you want a little juice, then you turn around and you can start a guy like Paul Reed, right? You can go small with Tobias. You can get Niang out on the court, spread them out a little bit, open up the perimeter. And then all of a sudden, now you can get Harden, create in space, facilitate, do what he does, get Tyrese in space, get Harris in space. And you might have to live and die by the three-pointer. I mean, look, the Jordan minutes last night were just horrible. Horrible. So if I'm the Sixers, I want to focus a little more on going smaller, get my outside perimeter, get my my shooters out there, get a little more athleticism, a little more speed on the floor. I cannot go big as they tried to go. Miami's going to each up. You know that Jordan at this point of his career is a big time liability, no matter what. I don't care how you slice and dice it. So Sixers find themselves down after that 106-92 loss, 1-0 to the Miami Heat. Now, Kai Carlin tweeted this out per Doc that I guess there is a little bit, and I don't want to paraphrase it. I want to be accurate with this, but I guess you can say there's a little bit of hope for Joel Embiid. And this was the tweet. It was about an hour ago, and you can check out Kai's work on SixersWire.usatoday.com. I'll give you the full the verbiage of it. So right now, basically, I know he did something yesterday, but not much. I know he's feeling better. I don't want to give false hope either, so I'll just stop there. So it's a tough injury, even if he's got to deal with wearing that mask, the protection around his face. You want to call it a cheap shot, so be it. If you want to sit there and say, why the hell was he in the game with 20, a couple minutes left, up 25, 26 points? That's Monday morning quarterbacking, folks. I mean, it's unfortunate. It is what it is. But the reality is they need Embiid on the floor to even remotely have a shot at this series. You know, when a guy like Paul Reed, no disrespect, who's kind of had a cup of coffee now in the NBA, is saying, well, they're right there for us. Miami, come on, man. Miami's a good team. Miami's a good team. They got a good mix of veterans. They got some scores. They got athleticism. They got a coach with a proven track record. And like I said, with Butler, you're always going to be in the game. I mean, would they get 10? They got 10 from Vincent, 10 from Tucker, 15 from Butler last night. So everyone contributed for Miami in that win. Game 2 is going to be Wednesday night, and I'll give you the updated odds on that one right now. So game 1, the odds were 8, and right now it's sitting at 8.5, Miami at home. And then you got Phoenix laying 6 against Dallas in their game 2. Phoenix already leads that series 1 game apiece. So that's where we're at in the NBA and the Philadelphia 76ers. Jovan Alford will join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk a lot more about this. And then you had the NFL draft over the weekend, where it is funny because I did say to John McMullen when we talked a little bit about if Howie Roseman, because the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles were so quiet, all right, what's going to happen? Are they going to do something? And you just know, right? You just knew that Howie never likes to just kind of stand pat when it comes to the draft. And, this might be a situation where people don't want to hear it. But Howie Roseman, he kind of knows what he's doing. And the fact that they turn around and they can trade for A.J. Brown, and then boom, all right, you turn around, you give him that deal, you restructure that contract, you have a legit playmaker, a wide receiver, the counterpart to Smith for a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts. We didn't even get into the draft selection. The players that they drafted, defensive tackle, Davis out of Georgia. They went with the center out of Nebraska in the second round. The kid Dean dropped, the inside linebacker from Georgia. Everyone was curious. Why is he dropping? Too many injuries, red flags. Here we go. So we'll dive into that with Johnny Mack. But that's a big, big ballsy move by the Philadelphia Eagles to acquire Brown. That's a big-time player in A.J. Brown. And I tell you, he's excited to be hooking up with his old friend Jalen Hurts. And then you had what the Giants did. And this was part of my Q's cuts on this Tuesday. I really like what the New York Giants did as far as their first, several selections in the draft, because I've been saying this for years. The New York Giants haven't had that edge rusher. They haven't had that defensive presence. They haven't had that guy that can get to the quarterback, and more importantly, a pass rush in the fourth quarter that's going to be needed. It's going to be needed because a lot of times, when you're playing from behind, or you're playing ahead, you want to protect the lead. Playing from behind, you want to create some turnovers. You want to mask if you got a weak secondary. Those have kind of been some of the issues for the Giants over the last several years. And now with Thibodeau, red flags or no red flags, big personality. He was there at 5. I know a lot of people thought, the Giants were going to kind of, steer clear of him. Talent trumps all. And then the fact that 2 draft picks later at 7, you can get Evan Neal, the tackle out of Alabama. That was huge. I know people are questioning the Robinson pick in the 2nd round, the wide receiver from Kentucky, maybe a small, diminutive type of wide receiver. There is speculation, all right, you're doing this just in case you trade Tony. I don't believe that's the case, but you saw this kid on film with the ball in his hands. He's a playmaker just like Kadarius Toney is. A little more depth on the line with their 3rd round pick. And then they added a cornerback out of LSU, the tight end. So all in all, I like what the Giants did. You were able to address the defensive side of the ball. You were able to address the offensive side of the ball. And for the Daniel Jones, and I won't call them haters because we can, the doubters out there, such as myself. How about this today? How about Brian Daboll basically saying, you know what? Go out and be yourself. Sling it. Don't worry. In so many decisions, go out and be yourself. Don't worry about getting yanked. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa. And I made this argument years ago when Kevin Gilbride was the offensive coordinator. All those years, the Giants were scoring 28, 30 plus points a game with Eli. Sling it. Go out. If you make a mistake, not a problem. Mistake be damned. Because the next series, there's a penchant to throw it 60-something yards to Nix or Manningham or Cruz or whomever. Even early on in his career, to Plaxico. Make the throw. Go out there. Sling it. Hey, man, that's what you want. Maybe this gives Daniel Jones a little more juice where he doesn't feel like, all right, every time I make a mistake, I might get benched, I might get pulled. Now, he's had wiggle room. Got to cut down the turnovers. I'm not saying be careless with the football, but be smart, be judicious. I love this approach by Daboll, and I love what Schoen did. Absolutely love it. I'm not going to tell you that the Giants are going to win 9-10 games. I'm not. I'm really not. But think about this. 2019, you had to deal with Mike Remmers and Nate Soldier. And Nate Soldier was a waste. He was a bum. Now, all of a sudden, looking forward, you got to deal with Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal on the offensive line. That's not bad. Now you got a pass rusher, maybe comes in with a chip on his shoulder. We already know that, right? Not bad. Not bad at all. So I kind of like the direction, and I kind of like the change of philosophy. And I really respect the fact that now the fan base has a little something to hang their hat on, a little bit of juice, a little bit of optimism. Isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that what you want? You want to be able to go out there and say to yourself, all right, we got an opportunity to win this game. We got an opportunity to win this game. That's all you're asking for. That's it. That's all you're asking for. You just want an opportunity to win. If I'm out there, if I'm competing, that's fantastic. If I'm sitting here and I don't have a chance in hell and I can't be competitive, I have no desire to watch these games. I have no desire to fight. I have no desires to invest my time or buy merchandise or take the trek up the turnpike. Now it's a totally different ballgame. Now you've got an opportunity where you say to yourself, this is a competitive product on the field, and that's a good start for the New York Football Giants. All right, 18 past 4 o'clock hour. Johnny Mac's going to join us, hopefully, in a couple moments. Football in the 20s on a Tuesday. We'll get to your tweets as well, at RichQ. You can hashtag BYP. Keep it locked in to a Tuesday edition of Pack Your Plays. We're just kicking it off inside the friendly confines of the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio studios right here down the shore on a Tuesday in May.
Glad to tell you about Gary's Restaurant. Breakfast and lunch is all they serve. They do a great job of everything for many years here. 831 New Road in Pleasantville. It's the place to be where locals love to eat. Seafood omelets and breakfast Eggs, $13.29. Breakfast quesadilla, $12.29. Belgian waffle, boys, that again, $12.25. Eggs Benedict, $12.89. If you want crab meat, $15.29. And how about this one? One of my favorites, stuffed French toast, $12.29. That's Gary's, open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, holidays included. They will be open on New Year's Day. Gary's, you will enjoy it. Gary's located there at 831 Route Road. If you want directions or anything, you can call them 609-383-9980. 609-383-9980. The place to meet where all the locals love to eat.
The water is so peaceful. That's why we move to the beach, to enjoy the sun, the ocean, the smell of the salt, and the warm sand under your feet. This is heaven. But after last night's storm, your house near the water is underwater. Don't worry. You chose flood insurance to protect your home from floods. At South Jersey's coastal flood insurance professionals, we have all the answers you need to check the right coverage so you can get back to tuning in the sunshine in no time. The best part is we're famous for the 5-star service from our team of insurance professionals. So to get back to your happy place for the water, call Green Insurance for flood insurance today at 1-888-OK-FLOOD or visit floodinsurance.com. Glen Insurance, exceptional people, superior results.
The LA City Beer and Music Festival, presented by Ocean Casino Resort on Saturday, June 4th and Sunday, June 5th at Baker Field in Atlantic City. Over 150 brewers, carnival fun, local grub, vendors, and live music from Alkaline Trio, Newfound Glory, Thrice, and 4 Years Strong. 2 sessions, Saturday, June 4th, 2 to 6 p.m., Sunday, June 5th, 12 to 4 p.m. Tickets and info at acbeerfest.com.
Heaven's Way Baptist Church, 5082 Tremont Avenue in Egg Harbor Township, invites you to come back. Follow God's teaching in the Bible and believe His words are absolute. Sunday services at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. are broadcast on Zoom, or come in person to the church. More services are listed on Facebook. If you believe in the Bible, you belong to Heaven's Way Baptist Church, 5082 Tremont Avenue in Egg Harbor Township, where all are welcome.
You're listening to Backyard Show with Q on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.
All right, 22 past the 4 o'clock hour, and I haven't gotten a chance. I see the tweets are coming in right away. And listen, I mentioned all about adjustments. You certainly don't want to have the Thibos, the Jordans, and Quirk-Maz on the floor at the same time. You and I both can agree to that. For those that are texting, tweeting in right now, barraging me with these tweets. All right, we'll get into a little Sixers that I mentioned. I want to kind of get back to the NFL draft, which has come and gone. We thought the Eagles, some of us thought the Eagles were going to be maybe a touch quiet when it comes to potentially trading. They make the big move for Brown. We'll go over the draft picks. We'll look at the NFC East as we typically do every Tuesday. We welcome in our good friend, John McMullen at JF McMullen on Twitter. Does everything from the NFL standpoint. He covers the Eagles, the NFL, the league. He's all over the place. You see him on YouTube. You see him on Twitter. He's a man of many hats. We're going to see if we can punch him up again as we just lost him. So that's what I say to John sometimes. We wax poetic with John, and we'll see if we can get him back up in a moment. But listen, he's been all over the place when it comes to what the Eagles are and are not going to do. And what I find really remarkable is that he also has, he might not admit this, or he might say it, but Howie Roseman kind of doing a heck of a job of late. All right, we think we got Johnny Mack. Are you there? Are you there, Johnny Mack? All right, so we're not getting John, which is a issue. So we'll see if we can fix that in a couple moments. We will definitely try to get Johnny Mack. I know we always try to get him on the air. We're going to try one more time. If we can't get him on the air one more time, We will go to a break. We will kind of see if we can try one more time. We'll see if we can punch him up one more. And if not, we'll go to a break and we'll see if we can reset it. But we will try to fight through and try to get our guy, John McMullen, on. And I mentioned this before. He actually thinks Howie has been doing a good job. All right. Are you there, John McMullen? Are you there, Johnny Mac, as we try to get you in here? Go ahead, John. You there, John? Try one more time. Johnny Mac. All right. He is not there. So we'll try to fix that on the break. All right, John. No worries. We'll fight through it. We'll try to get you on the other side. I wanted to get more into the draft, as I mentioned. I want to see where we're going to go with this. So what we'll do is we'll try to fix the phones. I'll try to call John maybe about 4:30. We'll see if we can punch him back up and get his take on the draft. Just working through some issues right here with the phone. But nonetheless, I thought going in, if anything, the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles, that they showed you that they were going to be aggressive. I think that's a big thing. And a lot of people don't like the fact that, Howie Roseman is still the GM. But at the end of the day, I don't think you can sit here with any type of honesty and say Howie Roseman's not a good GM. I mean, how many people thought that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to make that type of splash and turn around and trade for A.J. Brown, right? Everyone was screaming that they need to go out and get a wide receiver. We were trying to position all the wide receivers that we thought were going to be in play for the Philadelphia Eagles. We kept going over it, right? I mean, you had Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. They all got their lucrative paydays earlier in the offseason. Everyone was saying, all right, A.J. Brown, what are you doing? You got to be out there. Here you go. Well, what did they do? The Philadelphia Eagles turned around and they acquired Brown on the first night of the draft for a first and third round pick. And then they turned around and they gave him a 4-year contract, a 4-year deal worth $100 million, which included close to $60 million in guaranteed money. So A.J. Brown is not a slouch. A.J. Brown is a 24-year-old gifted 6'1", 226 wide receiver that makes flat-out plays, averaging right around 14 yards a catch, close to 1,000 yards, 60-something odd catches. He'll find himself into the end zone. That's what you want. Now you've turned around and you've given your young quarterback, Jalen Hurts. You've given Jalen Hurts. I mean, look what Brown did in that loss in the playoffs of Cincinnati, 5 for 142 and a touch. But now you've added a different element to that offense for Jalen Hurts, and you already have Smith. A now first year going into a second year wide receiver, which now you can kind of open up the playbook if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Now you have to worry about another wide receiver that can stretch the field. You have to worry about another wide receiver that's going to be a ridiculous, legit weapon for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, yeah, on paper, I loved it. Look, this is what happens. You want to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, right? You want to keep up with the Joneses. Now, I can't sit there and say A+ across the board because you never know what's going to happen with these draft picks. You never know. I don't know. You don't know. They wanted to go a little depth in round number 2. They wanted to add a linebacker in round number 3. But think about their last 5 draft picks, okay? Devonta Smith, number 10, 2021. Let's not talk about Jalen Reagor, 2020. Andre Dillard, 2019. Dallas Goedert, 2018. Derek Barnett. Everyone thought he's going to be the next Reggie White, 2017. The fact that they were able to make that trade for Brown kind of mask maybe any type of disappointment, you would say, in how you viewed how the Philadelphia Eagles did. Listen, you got a defensive tackle. You got a center from Nebraska because you already realized that your offensive line is aging. You got a linebacker. You added an athletic player that a lot of people thought were going to be some red flags because of some of the injuries. again, once you get these guys, now you got to cultivate it. Now you got to groom these guys a little bit. In addition to 5 players, the Philadelphia Eagles turned around and they acquired a veteran wide receiver in A.J. Brown for number 18 and number 101 in the class. Folks, I mean, and you still have to factor in the extra first round pick the Eagles got in a trade with the Saints earlier in April. That's not bad, man. That's not, you want it. Didn't they say we want to give our quarterback help? We want to surround our quarterback with playmakers. We want to be able to stretch the field. We want to be able to add a big play component. And that's exactly what they added in Brown. Because now you've got a quarterback that, all right, you want to talk about maybe his arm strength, the accuracy, but the athleticism, the toughness, the gamemanship is there. Now you add a wide receiver in Brown. You've got a tight end. We haven't even mentioned Smith. They can run the ball a little bit. Their trademark has been that offensive line. When they were at their best, that offensive line was one of the reasons. Now you fix that a little bit. Okay. Hey, we get it, right? We get it. It's not bad, man. It's not bad. The NFC East is always going to be competitive. The NFC East is always going to be a division where teams are going to kind of bang the heck out of each other. You know it, and I know it. And it's also going to be a very competitive division. It's going to be a division where, you know, your guess is as good as mine who's going to be that last team standing. And that's typically the case when you're talking about the NFC East. Because a lot of these teams, they're so familiar with each other. There's that rivalry. They know each other, you know, inside and out. And all these teams, they're drafting almost like to kind of one up what other teams are doing. All right, 4:30. We'll see if we can try Johnny Mac on the other side. 4:30, quickie timeout.
Power washing and window cleaning. Christine.
Hi, you've reached John McMullen. I'm not in right.
Sports Betting Radio. Follow us on Twitter at 1490 SportsBet.
All right, 4:35. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock. I'm going to see if I can punch up McMullen one last time. And if he's available, that would be great. If not, we'll just push John to tomorrow. So we'll see. If not, not a problem. We'll see if he's there. If he's not there, we'll have to get Johnny Mac on. Yeah. So we'll see if we can get Johnny Mac on tomorrow. That's not a problem. We'll see if we can get Steve Gardner as well. Also, fingers crossed. Oh, look at this. Another viral fan encounter in Vegas for Tyson. Unbelievable. This is getting crazy. You had this stuff going on when he was on the plane. And then you had, this now. Jeez. By the way, great weekend for boxing, which I was not able to really dive into that as much as I wanted to last week. But yeah, Shakur Stevenson fight. You had Amanda Serrano and the Taylor fight. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better weekend boxing wise. So I definitely want to try to dive into that, time pending. So we got a lot of tweets coming in on the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to read them off as well. I appreciate everyone if you keep it locked into the YouTube channel. I'm just, like I said, it's always good to hear from you guys as well. So I always appreciate it. We'll get to some of the tweets at Rich Q on Q. You can hashtag BYP. QY in the world, did Dean slip to 83? You know what? That seems to be one of the, I guess, one of the questions. I don't know. I really don't know. And it looks like he's a good player, right? Q, can you think about this? You know, since Sirianni's kind of become the head coach, Howie Roseman has done exceptionally well. What do you want me to say on that? Listen, Howie has had some good draft picks, and Howie has also had some bust. And that's the draft in a nutshell. It's happened before in the past, has it not? I thought the Eagles had a really good draft. I really did. And I think there's always this, you know, people think this kid Dean is one of the steals of the draft. Because they were talking about, all right, you know, what was the deal? Did he have some red flags? Were there medical issues? What's the problem? Look, if the kid checked out, the kid checked out. You know, these teams vet. They do their due diligence. You know it, and I know it. So they're not just going to make a lackluster move. They're not going to make a goofy move to make a move, right? This kid fell all the way down to the third round. If you watched any of Georgia, you knew that he can play, right? You knew this kid's a baller. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say because you won the draft or you did well in the draft in April, that means you're going to win the division come September. That's not the case, folks. That's not the case. But the kid just happened to fall. He just slid, and he slid, and he slid. And apparently there were some concerns, medical concerns, but I guess it wasn't long-term issues, according to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, look, if you watch, this kid was a beast for Georgia, man. I mean, was able to get to the quarterback, was able to have a couple interceptions, racked up close to 80 tackles. He was a beast, and he slid, which is crazy. 83rd overall pick. I mean, if you can get a player like that because he slid, so be it. I mean, this guy played primarily inside linebacker, but he also showed he can play outside. He can also even play quarterback at times. So I think what you have right now is a guy that's going to be a good player for the Philadelphia Eagles. And they added depth when they needed depth. And I think that's ultimately all you're looking for. And you build these guys. So yeah, listen. All in all, I think it was a good draft for the Eagles. I think it was a good draft for the New York Giants. If you're an Eagles fan, you got to love what they did for Jalen Hurts, right? You got one of his best friends in a trade, right? Think about this: Watkins, you've got Brown, you've got Devonta Smith, you got Dallas Goedert, you got good running backs, and you have a solid offensive line. So you put that all together, and that equals a pretty good draft grade, I guess. All right, do we have Johnny Mack? We'll see if we can punch him up one last time. If you are there, John McMullen, say hello to us. There you are, Johnny Mack. But this is what we do. We make miracles. We are miracles, and we dive into miracles. All right, let's get right into it, my friend. I was talking about the Eagles. Then we'll kind of go with the NFC East. We didn't know, or we didn't think Howie was going to be aggressive come, draft time from a trade standpoint. But what do? They turn around and they land a 24-year-old Pro Bowl wide receiver in AJ Brown. Talk to me for a moment about that. If you're Jalen Hurts, you got to feel pretty excited that now you got a tight end, you got a good running back core, you got a solid O-line and a couple young wide receivers, plus this kid to work with.
Devontae Smith probably not ready to be a wide receiver one in this league this early in his career, but as a two, he shapes up as one of the best. Obviously, Quez Watkins certainly not ready to be a wide receiver two, but as a three who can just run by people, that looks good too. You got Dallas Goedert, the top five.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you talk about some of the winners, so to speak, and then you look at a player and Jalen Reagor. He might be sticking on the roster because of his contract, but he's probably going to be probably fifth on the depth chart. He's not going to see much playing time without any injuries. And then you see the kid that slid in the draft where everyone's turning around saying, all right, you got a steal here in Dean, the linebacker from Georgia, who was a flat out beast in college. Let me ask you, I know there were some quote injury concerns, red flags, so to speak, but this kid slid. What was it? Third round, number 83. Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yep. Interesting. Wow. Yep. 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 Yeah. No, yeah, listen, agree 100%. I mean, I thought Eagles had a good draft, and obviously the acquisition for Brown was huge. And I look at the Giants, and they addressed two needs that they really needed. Right? They needed a pass rusher, they needed an edge rusher, and they needed to solidify the offensive line. They get Thibodeau with the fifth pick. They turn around, they get Neal. They add a wide receiver in the second round, kind of like a Tony 2.0, so to speak. And when the head coach comes out today and says, "Look, I want my quarterback to have confidence and sling it," I'm saying to myself, these are not your father's Giants. I mean, they're letting you know, look, this is the new regime. We're going to go old school. We want to get to the quarterback. We want to straighten up and fix that offensive line, try to run the football. And if it's there, let the quarterback take some shots. Now, does that mean he's going to throw for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns? Not necessarily, but they're just letting him know you're not going to get pulled. You're not going to get yanked. Play with a little confidence. And now all of a sudden you got Thomas with Neal on that line, and you got Thibodeau, that defensive end where you need that pass rush in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Washington goes with a wide receiver with the 16th pick. I think kind of a stretch. They went tackle and Mathis in the second round, but then they also drafted a quarterback in the fifth round, the kid from North Carolina. Would you make a Washington's draft picks? Yeah. Yeah, and then finally, the Cowboys go tackle with Smith, the linebacker Williams in the second round, Tolbert, the wide receiver out of South Alabama, third round. They had a bunch of picks in the fifth round. I think they had one, two, three, four of them. look, the Cowboys are the Cowboys, right? I mean, we know how they draft. We know sometimes they want the sexy player on the board, so to speak. I mean, I think if anything, you want to fix the offensive line, no doubt. You can never have too much depth at the linebacker position. I still think they're the favorite on paper. Now it's only May to win the NFC East. But with that being said, um, it's hard to see some flaws from a team that won 12 games, albeit got upset in the playoffs. No doubt. Yep. Right, 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 right. Sure. Right. Yep. Lastly, for you, I got about a minute plus to go, and I say this as delicate as possible. The Pickett pick at 20 by Pittsburgh, was this also a combination of question marks at the quarterback position and then, of course, the untimely passing of Haskins, or you believe that Kenny Pickett was their guy all along? Yep. 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 Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yep. Yeah, that's right. He is John McMullen at JF McMullen, Eagles Insider, Jacob Media, Burst 365 show, Philly Voice, 6 ABC post game, and of course, Football 24/7 SI. Now, give him a follow at JF McMullen. Johnny Mac, I always appreciate you working through the phone issues, pal. It's all about the season of miracles, my friend. I appreciate you. You got it, my friend. Good stuff. And we appreciate John making a little time for a couple moments. All right, 4:54 last time out. Close out hour number one.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7, online or over the phone.
But having a trusted insurer can make you question some not so trustworthy people. Like the friend who says he doesn't want pizza, but when it comes, sure, he'll have a
slice. Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance, and you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance. But saving money might make you so happy you start to skip everywhere, which could get you nicknamed the Skipper. And do you want that as a nickname? They got it. Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver. And they offer discounts to military and federal employees. But when your life gets a little easier, it makes you too carefree and you end up going barefoot everywhere, which is all fun and games until you step on a bee. Well, Geico is the largest car insurer in the state and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that. But you're right. Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
Spring is an exciting time at Wawa. We're looking for associates seeking the opportunity to thrive in a food service, customer service environment at a company with a one-of-a-kind culture of teamwork. Anyone who visits Wawa knows it's their incredible associates who drive their business and make Wawa so special to their customers and their communities. Starting wage is $15 an hour. If this sounds like fun to you, please apply online at wawa.com/careers. That's wawa.com/careers.
Listen all day long to AM 1490.
All right, a couple minutes to wrap up hour number one. We'll take you up to 609-445-1490. A lot of tweets are coming in on the draft, Philadelphia Eagles, a couple on Carson Wentz in Washington with them taking a quarterback, Dallas Cowboys, Giants as well. We'll read them off on the other side as well. At Rich Q on Q. As always, it's a Tuesday edition of BYP. If you guys are checking out the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, comment. Appreciate the support and the banter as always. Leave some comments in there. We'll have a little fun. We'll go back and forth. I did mention we'll go back into the NBA playoffs as well. Top of the hour. I want to get into a little baseball because this is something we kind of broke this down from a betting perspective in baseball. When you have an opportunity to, ride the hot streak, so to speak. I mean, think about right now, you can argue the two best teams in baseball right now reside in New York. The Mets are 16-8, okay? And the New York Yankees are 17-6. And oh, by the way, they won 10 straight. I told you, once that team starts winning 2, 3, 4, ride them out until that streak ends. You're going to put some money in your pocket. Toronto's had a really nice start to the season, but you got a couple postponed games. Yankees and Toronto, big game tonight. We'll get into that a little bit. The Mets are leading the Braves 5-4, bottom of the fifth. San Diego, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Detroit postponed. I'll give you some updates on that. Phillies at home against the Rangers tonight. So the Philadelphia Phillies, they had a real unique weekend, if you will, against the New York Mets. I mean, they salvaged that 3-game series by winning a game. What was it? The middle game on Saturday, I believe, 4-1. Then they gave up 10 on Sunday night. They got blanked and no hit on Friday night, 3-0. So we will dive into all that. See if I can give you some sound from Showalter as well. Him and Lopez were suspended because of the actions in that Phillies game, which, listen, hey, man, Lopez, intentionally threw at Schwarber the previous night. All right, it happens. But that's baseball, man, right? We've seen that. The Mets have been hit, 20-something odd times. But, man, they're playing really good baseball. And I love the move that they did releasing Robinson Cano. You had to get rid of Cano. You just didn't need him around that locker room, that dugout anymore. You know what? DFA him, get rid of him. He's not the Cano that he once was. And I think they're letting you know, we don't care who your name is. If you're not contributing, you're not going to last. All right. 16 to book, 60 to play with. We'll come back on the other side. 5 o'clock straight up with the Sports Flash. We'll come back. Hour number 2 of the BYP right here on Tuesday inside the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio studios.
You're hearing AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Listen online at 1490sportsbettingradio.com. This is your VSiN action update on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now. Miami Heat with a 106-92 win over Philadelphia in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Heat were 7.5-point favorites, total 209, stayed under at 198. Miami opens as a 9-point favorite in Game 2 Wednesday, 206.5 the total. Baseball today, Rangers Suarez on the hill for the Phillies, $1.65 favorite against Texas and John Gray. Rangers plus 145, 8.5 over the total at Citizens Bank Park. Rangers have won 2 straight. Philadelphia enters the matchup 11-12 of the season. I'm Mike Senate, AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.
You probably know Progressive Insurance for insuring your home and auto. You may know Flo and Dr. Rick. But what you may not know is that Progressive helps employees support over 3,800 charitable organizations annually because we're committed to helping our employees, and our employees are committed to helping others. Anyway, we just wanted to share. We were a little too proud of it to keep it to ourselves. And if you already knew all of this about us, you've either heard this radio spot before or just randomly know a lot about Progressive. Find out more about how we're dedicated to our customers and communities at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates based on data from May 12 through April 2021.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get where you want to go. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Call Eric Rich at Rich Asset Management, a certified financial planner professional to help you plan for retirement. I'm Eric Rich. I know you've worked hard to accumulate your wealth. At Rich Asset Management, our sole focus is helping you plan for income during retirement. Call us today to learn how our enjoyable retirement solution may help you optimize your retirement income. As independent advisors, our recommendations are based on our clients' needs and goals. I will serve you by maintaining the highest standards of integrity in the industry. Call Eric Rich today at 609-486-5073 or go to his website, richassetmanagement.com. That's RICHASSET management.com. Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, LLC, Kestra IS. Member FINRA/SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Kestra Advisory Services, LLC, Kestra AS. An affiliate of Kestra IS. Rich Asset Management, LLC is not affiliated with Kestra IS or Kestra AS.
AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio welcomes you to Back Your Play with Q. Live from the studios of Longport Media, here is your host, Rick Quinones.
All right, 5 o'clock hour. 16 to book, 60 to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on a Tuesday edition of BYP. Appreciate everyone keeping us locked in as always. A lot of stuff to dive into. So you had the NFL draft over the weekend. We were getting into the NBA playoffs as well. So a lot of stuff from that standpoint. Also, you know, this is something that baseball wise, I was thinking about this. What are we now? 20 something odd games into the season. And think about some of these predictions. We were talking about maybe playing the under for Arizona in the wins. Arizona's 11-13. They're a couple games under 500. The Marlins are 2 games over 500. O's not so much, 8-15. How about the Red Sox are 9-14 after 23 games, and the Angels are 15-9. You know, it's always that first month. You want to see where these teams are going to be at. You know, the Dodgers and the Giants right now, 14 wins respectively. Padres 15-8, nice little start. So I mentioned they were postponed. inclement weather for both those games, the Pirates and the Tigers. That'll be a makeup day tomorrow, double dip. Same thing tomorrow for the Pods and the Guardians. So the Philadelphia Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies right now, and Suarez is on the hill. He's 2-0. The Philadelphia Phillies right now have dropped 2 of 3. Remember now, they swept Colorado. They had that nice series against Colorado. Prior to that, dropped 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. So they'll win a series, lose a series, win a series, lose a series. Let me just give you some numbers on the Phils, who are 4.5 back of the Mets in the NL East. Now, we're only 23 games into the season. Bryce Harper is batting .253 with 4 home runs. Castellanos is batting .286 with 3 home runs. Rhys Hoskins, remember we talked a lot about Rhys about a month ago? He's batting .200. Schwarber is batting .200, but you want the home run production, he's giving you 7. Segura is batting .229 with 2 home runs. So the point is, it's kind of like a mixed bag right now for the Philadelphia Phillies. It really is. And that outfield has a lot to be desired because of their defensive issues. So we always think, all right, this is what you're going to do. You're going to kind of back the outfield a little bit because you are going to, you got to deal with that outfield that has a ton of errors, but you want the offense kind of make up for defensive liability, so to speak. So how about this? They move Schwarber back to the leadoff spot without Castellanos against the Rangers tonight. So once again, shuffling the lineup a little bit. I think I'm going to give it 35 to 40 games. Okay. So right now, Schwarber's back in the leadoff spot. Alec Baum's going to bat second. Hoskins, Segura were dropped to the bottom third of the order. So, and it's because Castellanos' wife went into labor. So think about Schwarber, right? He returns to the leadoff spot after spending the last 13 games in the 5 or 6 hole. Now, let me give you the numbers. He's been red hot over those 13 games. 279, 404, 744, 6 home runs, 13 ribbies, 8 walks, 52 plate appearances. His OPS is up to 838, despite the fact that his batting average is at 200. That's crazy. I mean, you want run-producing spots everywhere. And now you got the big bat that's going to see some consistent run atop the lineup against right-handers. So, Joe, Girardi, stick with that lineup, right? You don't always have to change it daily, but that probably also means that Alex Baum is going to stay in the 2-hole. So people were like, iffy on him. He's batting .309. So this is what you have tonight against John Gray, the righty from the Texas Rangers. Schwarber, Bohm, Harper, Romuto, Didi, Hoskins, Segura, Herrera, Quinn, and then Suarez is on the bump. And Suarez has not pitched particularly bad for the Philadelphia Phillies. The other night, that's embarrassing to get no hit like that against the Mets. I mean, your division rival, and not only do you get no hit, but 5 Met pitchers combined to no hit you. And this kid, Tyler McGee, are you kidding me with this kid thus far? A 159 pinch gem. Absolutely crazy. So McGee was pulled after 5. He threw 88 pitches. Then the bullpen took over. So you had Drew Smith, you had Rodriguez, Seth Lugo, and you had Edwin Diaz basically complete the second no-hitter in Mets history. The only previous one was held back in 2012, Johan Santana, who needed 134 pitches in that win against St. Louis. And remember, afterwards, his career was never the same with the arm. So that's crazy. Per baseballreference.com, 159 pitches were the most thrown in a no-hitter. 6 Houston Astros pitchers threw 151 pitches in their no-hitter against the Yankees in 2003. I mean, right now, the Mets are having that start that if you were a Met fan, you envisioned. 24, 25 games, 15, 16, 17 wins. If you're a Met fan, this is exactly what you signed up for. And then you got the Yankees. And it was just a matter of time before they started to hit. It was a matter of time before the offense was going to start to wake up. And just like the Yankees do, they've been going on this run. Man. You know, Torres had the big hit in the 9th. Yankees go on to beat the Blue Jays 3-2. They've won 10 in a row. There you go. Now, did they feast on Kansas City and Baltimore? Okay, fine. The Guardians, fine. But still, man, 10 in a row to start the season to get you to 17-6. That's a hell of a start for the New York Yankees. It really is. That is your best case scenario, too. And you turn around, Rizzo is knocking the you-know-what out of the ball. Aaron Judge is batting close to 300. He's already driven in 16 with 8 home runs. Rizzo's got 9 homers, 21 ribbies, as I mentioned, 256. Stanton, we know Stanton's going to go on this streak where he's going to have, 7 or 8 games, and he's going to club 4 to 5 home runs. He's hitting at 267 with 4 home runs. So the Yankees, once again, using the long ball, 32 thus far as a team. All right, 5'11", Jovan Alford on the other side. We'll talk a little NFL draft with him. We'll get his thoughts on the Sixers' Game 1 loss against the Miami Heat. What he believes needs to be the adjustments in Game 2, and we're still not sure. It looks like no Embiid, but do they go with that smaller lineup, get Jordan off the floor? We'll talk a little more about it with a Philly perspective with Jovan Alford on the other side.
For years, the ACUA, the Atlantic County Utility Authority, braved that its 5 wind turbines in Atlantic City alone could produce enough electricity to power 2,500 homes. Is that true? If so, why after 16 years, weren't those 5 wind turbines ever used to power a single home? Why weren't they ever used to power the offices of the ACUA, or a single dormitory or classroom at Stockton College? Why don't they want us to see for ourselves how reliable wind energy is? Why don't they want us to know how much oil and natural gas are needed to back up wind turbines and how much they cost? Before we triple our electric bills and spend billions to build wind turbines all over the ocean, should we first learn more about the 5 we already have in Atlantic City? Learn more at libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. To keep us on the air and online. libertyandprosperity.com. Thanks.
Spring into savings all month and spring out of that car you hate. Black Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Tom's River. We'll take any trade, any make, any condition, even if you're stuck in a loaner lease. Black Kia can get you released. Do you have a job? Do you clear 3 physical week? You could be approved with 0 down and 1 interest rate financing on every clearly marked new Kia in stock. And remember, we have new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see it a whole lot doesn't mean you can't be driving your new Kia home tomorrow. So bring any trade to Matt Flat Kia, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. And don't forget, you can't make a mistake without a 4-day early return policy. It's gotta be Matt Flat Kia. Offers with approved credit through Quinones. All faculty Matt Flat Kia engine and office expires 5/8/2022. Matt Flat Kia, 6211 Black Horse Lane in Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 at Tom's River. The Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival, presented by Ocean Casino Resort on Saturday, June 4th and Sunday, June 5th at Baker Field in Atlantic City. Over 150 breweries, carnival fun, local grub, vendor, and live music from Alkaline Trio, Newfound Glory, Thrice, and 4 Years Strong. 2 sessions, Saturday, June 4th, 2 to 6 p.m., Sunday, June 5th, 12 to 4 p.m. Tickets and info at acbeerfest.com.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go get your spa on. Go for the view that goes on forever. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go for the steaks and the steak. Is that how you found a better view in Atlantic City? Go for the theoceanec.com. Must be 21 or older. Family problem, call 1-800-GAME-HELP.
You're listening to AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.
All right, 15 past 5 o'clock hour on a Tuesday edition of BYP. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 6. Danny Burke and Rush Hour then drives you home at 6. Later on this evening, part of our VSiN content. Keep us locked in at 1490 Sports Bet. As I mentioned, the draft is come and gone. We'll get in a little NBA playoffs. It's all about adjustments, is it not? And the Sixers find themselves down in a 1-0 hole with no Embiid, and certainly can't throw Jordan back out there as well. All right. We'll see. Hopefully the phones hold up. We'll welcome in our good friend, Jovan Alford, and of course, staff writer at DK Live. Check him out at Jovan10, TotalSportsLive.com. Jovan? All right, Jovan. How can you get me now, pal? How are you hearing me now? Yeah, all right, Jovan. I potted you up. You got me right now? All right, there you have it. And, of course, everyone give Jovan a follow at Jovan10 on Twitter. All right, so we'll get into the draft first and foremost. So Howie, once again, pulls a rabbit out of the hat with the big trade for a big-time receiver in Brown. And, look, I mean, think about this, right? You walk away with a Pro Bowl wide receiver, and then you turn around, you get a defensive tackle from Georgia, you get a center to replace Kelsey from Nebraska, and then you get a linebacker that dropped, who is a beast in Georgia. Overall, what were your thoughts on the Eagles' moves this past weekend in the draft? Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and also if you question some of the moves by Howie as well, I guess, you offset that with the fact that they traded for A.J. Brown, because every Eagles fan was clamoring for a breakout wide receiver to complement Smith. You mentioned the offensive line. You got a couple good running backs. You got a solid tight end. I'm not going to sit here and say no more excuses for Jalen Hurts, because it's in essence going to be I look at it really as his second season under center, and he still has to grow. And look, the fact that maybe he doesn't have the greatest arm strength or the accuracy, but I think when you have a wide receiver like Smith and Brown, who you might even say, I can stretch the field, but if I need be, go up and go and get it, make a play on the ball, that gives confidence to a young quarterback, especially now where you've got your solid tight end. You can run the football a little bit. You have a good offensive line to pass protect and pass block, and now you've added some weapons on the edges. Yeah, I mean, and then you've also addressed the defensive side of the ball and your center position too, for the eventual replacement for Kelsey. So I like what the Eagles did. I really, and not trying to be a bias or anything, but I do like what the Giants did because everything kind of fell to where they needed it to fall, and they didn't overthink it. They didn't overanalyze. I mean, if it was Gettleman, he would have screwed up a cup of lousy coffee on Friday night, but they got the two players that they coveted and needed. They got Thibodeau, the edge rusher, and they got the kid Neal, the tackle out of Alabama. Yeah. Absolutely. I know everyone was thinking that the Jets were going to make a run at Debo, and 49ers GM John Lynch said he expects Debo to remain with the team despite trade requests. I was also seeing a tweet that I guess the Lions, I don't know if Rappaport tweeted it or said it on Eisen's show. The Lions offered the 49ers a first and third round pick for Debo Samuel. I think when it's all said and done, I thought he was going to get moved, if anything, Friday. I thought Baker was going to get moved on Friday. They weren't. They're still with their respective teams right now. What do you think the future holds for those two players in Debo Samuel and Baker Mayfield? Let me give you this stat. So Baker Mayfield, 2018, 2021, 29 and 30 was his record. 92 touchdowns, 56 picks. That was his touchdown to interception rate. The Browns, pre-Baker, so we'll go 3 years, 2014 to 2017, 11 and 53, 62 touchdowns, 70 picks. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a top 10, heck, even 12, 13, 14, 15 quarterback. You can win a little bit with Baker Mayfield. I mean, I think I mentioned this to you. I thought the Giants should actually reach out and see what they can do to maybe make a trade or bring in Mayfield. They're going to run it back with Daniel Jones. I get it. But I don't know. He's not a bust, and he's not a horrible quarterback. I mean, we forget he went into Pittsburgh on the road, and they smacked the Steelers around in the playoffs. He dealt with some injuries, and he tried to fight through those injuries. And I don't know, man. I think he's getting a raw deal here. I get it. Watson's a better quarterback. Okay, fine. But I mean, I just think this kid's getting a bad break. I really do. Oh yeah, RG3. Yep. Yeah, well, two things. I mean, he's the best available in the draft for the second time in his career because these quarterbacks, I'm not so high on them. The guys that just got drafted, and I say it in tongue in cheek. And look, I would take him over Daniel Jones right now. I mean, I really would. And you're not going to cut him because I mean, I think they'd have to eat what, 18 something million dollars. And I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, this is kind of going to be like a Drew Brees type of career. I mean, if that's the case, oh my goodness, then people are going to be eating a lot of crow. He went 11-5 and they blasted Pittsburgh. So again, I don't know, man. I think you're right. I think it's maybe the personality, so to speak. I mean, Seattle makes sense. I know someone, I think they were reporting that it was a done deal. He's going to Carolina a couple of days ago. Well, it's not a done deal. He's still with Cleveland. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. All right, let's switch gears for a couple moments. NBA playoffs. So Sixers were able to get through Toronto. They waxed them in that game 6. Everyone, including myself, thought the sky was falling. I know it's Monday morning quarterbacking, so to speak, but all I read on Twitter and national talking heads, what the hell was Embiid in the game with a couple minutes to go and they're up by 25, 26 points? I mean, look, whether it's a cheap shot or not, even if it is, he got hurt. I can't sit there and say, why was he in the game? Because we've seen crazy things happen in the NBA. I don't know why he was in the game. Doc, didn't come out and say, if I could have done it differently, that's not Doc's style. But the bottom line is he gets hurt, not available last night. Miami covers a number of 8. They're 8.5-point favorites in game 2. Do you still give this? Well, let me ask you this. Do you blame Doc at all for having him beat on the floor late in that game against Toronto in a blowout? Nope. What do you do adjustment wise? I mean, last night, Jordan gives you nothing, man. He's a waste. He just gives you nothing. And that lineup that he had out there, I don't know. I go smaller to be honest with you. I get some of the perimeter shooters out there, guys that can create a little space, have Miami's defense kind of draw them out a little bit. But there's no way I go big if I'm the Sixers. Exactly. Yeah, but I'm. It is what it is with James Harden. It really is. He's not the volume scorer he once was. I think it's pretty evident. You're not going to get it. I would be shocked if this series went 6, and I would be even more shocked if you had a game where James Harden scored 28. I don't see it. I just don't. And again, he's never been that guy when everything's been on him, right? When it's all breaking down and I need you to go out there. I mean, look, 5 of 13, 16 points. He attempted 7 from 3. Last night, the Sixers as a team were 6 of 34 from beyond the arc. Niang was 0 for 7. Thibault was 0 for 2. Harris was 1 of 4. Maxey was 1 and 6. I mean, you talk about being a make or miss league. Now, granted, Miami was 9 of 36, but again, they also won the game by 14 and they pulled away when they had to, even though it was a competitive first half. It's a make or miss league, man. You have to make your shots, but I just don't need you. You can tell James Harden is not that guy because he's shooting 6, 7, 8, 9 3-point attempts. He's really not trying to get to the line. He went to the line 6 times last night. If your shot's not falling, you got to figure out another way to score. I mean, I don't know what kind. Without Embiid on the floor for them, they don't stand a chance in hell. They really don't. I mean, they might win a game if Embiid's out this entire series, but I don't see how. Or give me a reason why Miami wouldn't win this series, Jovan, in 5 games. Oh, Hero 25. Yeah. Yeah. PJ Tucker, man, that guy's still trudging along, man. 36. Now he's questionable for tomorrow night. Yeah. I had to pull up. It's funny, man, because when you hear a guy's name, you think to yourself, wait a second, is that the same guy from back? Yeah, that's the same guy from back in the day, the well-traveled, so to speak. They're laying 8.5. Last night, the number was 8, and they easily covered. I love them laying 8.5 tomorrow night. So, did you see the officiating crew for tonight in Golden State and Memphis? Everyone's saying play the over, and that one 227.5. Golden State's laying 2. Let me get your thoughts on that one. And then you got Boston and Milwaukee, the early game at 7. To me, this is a must-win game for the Boston Celtics, laying 4 at home against Milwaukee. So you can pick whatever game you want to choose from. Yeah, that's a tough loss. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Warriors title odds improved after winning an event in Memphis, plus 260. Suns plus 320. Milwaukee plus 500. Celtics plus 550. Heat plus 600. Sixers, Mavs, and Grizz at plus 2,500. You mentioned Milwaukee, and then I want to throw to Golden State real quick. How about Golden State right now, laying 2, and they're on the road? Yeah, and Green gets ejected. Yep, yep, yeah. Yeah, and listen, they rallied after Green gets ejected. And you mentioned Poole with the 31. That play they drew it was a great play. It was just a really tough shot for Morant. Just almost like you're kind of using your body's leverage with the left hand to kind of scoop it. I mean, so, but you're right. That was a game that you kick yourself because 1-0, you're feeling pretty good now because now you got an opportunity. If they split going back to Golden State, you're okay. You'll take it now. You kind of woke up the monster that is Golden State. And to your point, when they are firing, right? When they are firing, when Wiggins gets his and Thompson gets his and Curry's getting his, and you get 31 from your bench from one player, that's a scary out, man. I love Golden State tonight. I really do. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a smart play. That's a smart play. Um, Yeah, no, I agree 100% with that one. All right, as always, he is Jovan Alford on Twitter at Jovan10. Give him a follow. Great insight as always. Before I let you get out of here, any player props for this evening? Mm. You like Toronto snapping the Yanks 10-game winning streak? Yeah. 4-0, 1.44 ERA. I'm definitely going to play the over on run 7.5. And the only other game that I like tonight in baseball, Angels over the Red Sox. The Red Sox stink, man. That's right. That's right. All right, back your play, my friend. As always, the best of luck with the bets. Always great insight. We'll talk next week, pal. All right, you got it, my guy. There you have it. Jovan Alford, outstanding stuff as always. It is exactly 5:40. Quick timeout. Sports Flash, bottom of the hour.
GM presents the Sports Flash on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. NBA playoff basketball from Monday night. The Heat knocked off the Sixers 106-92 as Miami takes a 1-0 series lead. The Suns also lead their series 1-0 after knocking off the Dallas Mavericks 121-114 in the loss for the Mavericks. Luka Doncic just goes off 45 points and 12 rebounds. A couple more playoff games coming up this evening. The Celtics playing host to the Bucks. Milwaukee leads that series 1-1, so they're trying to take a commanding 2-0 series lead before the series shifts back to Milwaukee. State Hill, the Golden State Warriors playing in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Golden State wins that series 1-9. BetMGM Sports. Place your parlays, props, and futures bets at the King of Sportsbooks. Get the app today. I'm Matt Pauley on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.
Have you worked up an appetite yet? Glad to tell you about Gary's Restaurant. Breakfast and lunch is all they serve. They do a great job and have been for many years. They're at 831 New Road in Pleasantville. That's the place to meet where locals love to eat. Seafood omelet for breakfast, $15.29. Breakfast quesadilla, $12.29. Belgian waffle, boy, is that a good one, $12.25. Eggs Benedict, $12.89. If you want crab meat, $15.29. And how about this one? One of my favorites, stuffed French toast, $12.29. That's Gary's, open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, holidays included. It will be open on New Year's Day. Gary's, we will enjoy. Gary's located there on 831 New Road. If you want directions or anything, you can call them 609-383-9980. 609-383-9980. Place to meet where all the locals love to eat.
It's Atlantic City Weekly's Burger Bash 5, Saturday, June 18th at the Grand Ballroom at Golden Nugget, Atlantic City. All-you-can-eat burgers from South Jersey's top restaurants.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
We try them all and vote for the ultimate Atlantic City Weekly Burger Bash champion. Burgers, beers, and live music from Quasimodo's Drive. For tickets, go to eventbrite.com. Tickets for the last bash sold out and will sell out again. The Atlantic City Weekly Burger Bash 5, Saturday, June 18th at the Grand Ballroom at Golden Nugget, Atlantic City. May is Stroke Awareness Month. Shore Medical Center would like to remind you that during a stroke, time has an incredible impact on the brain. During a stroke, 2 million brain cells per minute are lost forever. Signs of a stroke include loss of balance, vision loss, drooping of the face, weakening eye movement, and slurred speech. At first sign of a stroke, do not delay. Call 911. Learn more about stroke prevention and care on shoremedicalcenter.org.
Shore Medical Center, helping at its best.
Get social with AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Follow us on Twitter at 1490 SportsBet. Now, back to Q.
All right, 5:45. Take up to 6. Vizan and the gang comes in. Keep it locked in. Good stuff from Jovan Alford. Appreciate him checking in for a couple moments. Getting a lot of tweets from on Mayfield and a couple of on the Falcons and Matt Ryan getting traded and Deshaun Watson. RG in what do we got? That Scotch Plains chimes in. Q, I think your point on Baker Mayfield is actually accurate. they trashed him in the media, and now they're killing his trade value. You're pretty much stuck with a quarterback you don't want. I'm not even a Browns fan. Yeah, it's not the best route to go right now for Cleveland. I mean, they're not doing him any favors, to be honest with you. According to Props US, the Bucks and the Bills still top the board. After the draft, the Eagles now moved up a little bit in their Super Bowl odds. So if you kind of look at where everything's kind of transpired over the weekend and whatnot. So right now, as it stands, 2023 Super Bowl odds: Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay plus 700, Los Angeles Rams, your defending Super Bowl champs, at plus 800, Green Bay, Kansas City, and the 49ers still with the issues with Garoppolo and Debo plus 1,200. The Cowboys are at plus 1,600. The Chargers are plus 1,800. Then we get really deep. The Giants are at plus 10,000. The Philadelphia Eagles are at plus 3,000. And Washington's at plus 8,000. So Washington actually has a better odds. I mean, think about that, to make the Super Bowl than the Giants. And the Giants always have Washington's number. I don't care about the last game of the season. The Giants are just always better than Washington. But there are some updates right there in that regard. Let me get to some more of these tweets as well. Eagles. See what some of you Giant guys are saying. Refresh the page. What do we have here? Giants. All right. Kevin in Tom's River chimes in. Q, at this point, I think Bradbury's going to remain a Giant, but think about this. You probably have to free up approximately 10 to 13 million on the cap space in order to sign draft picks. If they keep them, it's going to be interesting to see who the Giants backload and or extend. Enjoying the show as always. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, some of the moves that were made under Gettleman just have not worked out. You know, the Adoree Jacksons, the Bradburys, the Logan Ryans. You know, you got a tidbit of what you needed from those guys. I don't know. Alex chimes in. Q, if you really think about this, Robinson and Tony are going to add a ton of speed. They're going to disrupt defensive alignments. Last season, now Alex is doing his due diligence here. Last season, the Giants averaged 7.5% motion. Buffalo had 34.3. Kansas City had 64.5. I think it's time we realize these are not your father's Giants. Get ready for a modern offense. I would love that. I would absolutely love the Giants. I give me these guys. Spread the ball around, man. I would love to get these guys in space. I'm telling you, I absolutely. I'll have Faye on Twitter. Q, always enjoying the show. Checking you out on your YouTube channel. Looking good. I truly believe the worst is over and the Giants are on their way back. Maybe not to the playoffs right away, but at least respectability. Yes, I agree 100%. I think it started with the moves that they made from top to bottom. When you bring in a new GM, you bring in a head coach, you get rid of the toxic culture, you get rid of the nonsense. Joe Judge was a clown, Gettleman was a clown, and all of a sudden you bring in guys that have this winning track record. Yes, absolutely. Think about this. You've got a tackle, a right tackle, an edge, an edge number 2 when you really think about it, and you've got some cornerstone pieces you can build around. Yeah, so yeah, you should be happy if you're a Giant fan. Hopefully it translates into wins though, right? Because at the end of the day, that's exactly what you want. All you want is for this team to be competitive and to win some football games. And now it's on Daniel Jones too, because they did not extend, right, his contract, his 5th-year option, I should say. So, you know, this is it for Daniel Jones. I mean, there is no, all right, he's going to get it here. This is it, man. It's now or never. And the fact that Daboll wants Daniel Jones to be more aggressive is basically him saying, go out and make mistakes. That's okay. Fine. Fine. But this can also maybe unleash big playability. Look, he's got a nice arm. He throws a pretty ball. Absolutely. He threw 24 touchdowns and 12 picks his rookie season. Okay. The past 2 years, 21 touchdowns, 17 picks, and 25 games. Not good. So I think this offense is going to be a lot more creative. I think this offense can be explosive. And look, Daniel Jones is one of the best deep ball passers in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. Just the turnovers are killing the kid. 550.
Switching to Geico is a good idea.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7, online or over the phone.
But having a trusted insurer in your life can make you feel so secure that you'll want to do something dangerous like run through a cactus patch, and that never ends well.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance, and you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might make you want to giggle gleefully, and when your mouth's open, a stray acorn could fall in there. It happens a lot, actually.
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver. And they offer discounts to military and federal employees.
And that might make you so happy that you start whistling all the time. Who likes whistling? Name one person.
Well, Geico is the largest car insurer in the state and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
Do you want your kids to have an edge in sports, school, and overall well-being? Using marijuana underage can derail them. Today's high-potency marijuana has THC.
All right, about 2 to 3 before we get out of here. Busy show tomorrow. We'll do a little baseball. Rothstein joins us in the 5 o'clock hour. Lloyd Vance is going to join us tomorrow as well. Steve Gardner. So definitely a busy show. We'll recap a lot of the draft. We'll talk some baseball. And should be good.
For more information, visit njpn.org. That's njpn.org. This message is sponsored by the New Jersey Prevention Network and Impact NJ, and aired in cooperation with the New Jersey White House Association and this station.
Listen online all day long to AM 1490. Sports Betting Radio. 1490 Sports.
All right, a couple minutes to play with as we get you set to take you up to 6 o'clock. Lloyd Vance will join us tomorrow. We'll recap the draft as well. What do we got here? Mike on Twitter chimes in. Q, you mentioned that Jalen Hurts is certainly a winner. I agree 100%. But how about McPherson along the same lines as, say, a Marcus Epps? Think about this. Eagles didn't add a cornerback in the draft. They threw some money in undrafted corners. But McPherson is still the leading candidate in the building to be CB2, enjoying the show as always. TJ chimes in. Q, I love what you said about Jalen Hurts. Now all of a sudden you add a familiar friend in the mix, a 24-year-old all-pro potential in Brown. And now you've got Devontae Smith. You've got a very good tight end. You got a speedster in Watkins. You mentioned the running game, and I'm hoping that the offensive line comes into form. This kid's got all the tools to prove he's the franchise quarterback the Eagles hoped he'd be, and the media, such as yourself, said he wouldn't be. Not necessarily the case. Not necessarily the case. I never said that I wanted Jalen Hurts to fail. I just never believed Jalen Hurts was going to be this all-world, all-pro quarterback. But I told you a couple things that I liked about the kid. He was a gamer, right? He's tough. He's showing you that he's a leader. These are things that you look for in a young quarterback, and he's got some skill. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I also think that if you surround yourself with the right, surround these guys with the right players and the skill set and the head coaches and the guys that back them and the guys that the offensive line that can keep them upright and protect them, then yeah, that's a major, major thing. I mean, we're not going to pretend like that's not the case, right? I mean, it's right there. Hey, don't forget, Burke's coming up in about 5. So I'll have Dan Leach on to join the show. He'll talk a little NBA postseason with Nick Whalen as well. And then he does his segment at, I believe, 6:45 with Danny Dime. So check that out on the Midwest. Of course, that'll be 6:45 our time, 5:45 their time as well. So give them a follow and kind of keep it locked in. But yeah, to a couple of you guys' points, I want Jalen Hurts to succeed. I want him to do well. No doubt. No doubt. And now you added some big time playmakers. And like I said, I think to me, Dean to me is kind of worth the flyer, despite the Eagles not really suited for taking risk at the moment. The fact that this kid dropped so far in the draft because of a handful of injuries that, he basically is denying or serious. We've seen this, right? Miles Jack dropped for similar reasons. He had a successful career. So you got a big time playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. He's agile. Look, I get it. He's on the smaller side, but he's got the football acumen. He's a smart player. And that's pretty big, man. And like I said, you made great trades with the Colts last year, right? With the Carson Wentz deal, the Saints acquiring future picks, and to get A.J. Brown from the Titans to bolster that receiver group. It's pretty big, man. You got a future center. Not bad. They did well. Look, people don't want to hear it. I think McMullen said it. Howie Roseman is not a bad GM. Tomorrow, I want to get into a little boxing. It was a fantastic weekend for the Sweet Science with Stevenson and Valdez. And then, of course, Serrano and Taylor. I went back. I watched the fight twice. I'll give you some of my thoughts on that. You got another busy weekend in the fight game, so we'll dive into that. Gamet's game on Sunday was postponed, so you might see a little back-to-back-to-back for them this weekend. They had that tough loss to Albany to snap that 6-game slide. They sit at 9-4 in the Northeast region in the TBL, right there with Albany and Syracuse. Top 3 make the playoffs, so I suspect that they will. Probably got to win 17-18 to kind of close it out, as we've already are in the second half of the TBL season. But we'll talk a little more about that tomorrow. Steve Gardner on baseball. Yanks try to make it 11 straight tonight when they take on Toronto. Let me give you an update on the Mets before we get out of here. The Mets are right now, game 1 of the double dip. Who's pitching? Diaz is on the hill. 5-4, top 9. Mets are still leading the Braves 5-4. Carrasco will be on the hill game 2 right now. Mets minus 115. Over under total runs is 7. You got the Phillies and the Rangers tonight. Texas comes down to Philly. Phillies are minus 150. Total number of runs 8.5. And then the Yanks right now, I would play the Yanks money line, even though Mano has pitched well for Toronto. I think the Yanks will be able to outslug them. They try to make it 11 straight overall when they take on Toronto tonight. And in the NBA, we already told you the plays that we like. I'm going to go Milwaukee on the money line, and then I'm going to go the Warriors with the points on the money line as well. And I'm also going to play the over 227.5, 9:30 tip-off in Memphis. All right, so that'll do it on a Tuesday edition of BYP. Appreciate everyone keeping us locked in. Good stuff from Johnny Mack. We apologize for the phone issues. We'll get them straightened out tomorrow. Jovan Alford checking in tomorrow. Lloyd Vance, Steve Gardner, Ryan Rothstein, and you out there as well. Danny Burke, Rush Hour coming up next. Keep it locked in. We'll take you up to 6. Sports Flash on the other side. Legal, Burke, and Vizan and the crew. Tomorrow, back in the saddle from 4 to 6. Keep the tweets coming at Rich Q on Q. Everyone have a good Sports Tuesday. Be safe. Be sound. We'll talk to you tomorrow from 4 to 6. Hasta luego, buen día.